Scottish-born, English-raised, Welsh-named centre who plays for the Stormers in South Africa. As for Australia, a more robust-looking front row now with Seo, Captain Moore and Kepu. A good second row as well. That partnership is building. And a back row now with Pocock starting on the blind side. Lopete Tamani, so impressive recently at number 8. And the one change to the side from last week comes in the back line. What a man to come in. Will Genia, released by Stade Francais, to return at scrum half. On the bench, a 6-2 split for Australia as well. Quick look at them there. 6 forwards and 2 backs to target Scotland in that area later on. And the referee for this one is Ireland's John Lacey. Well, it has been talked about at a great length, of course. Just over a year ago, these two sides were ending a World Cup quarter-final of the very highest drama. What lies in store today as Australia continue their attempt at a Grand Slam tour of the North and Scotland begin their autumn series? And taken down by the giant Rory Arnold, 6'10" of him. He'll look eye to eye with Richie Gray in the second row. And carried in by his partner Adam Coleman. And good early work by Israel Folau, outstanding fullback, and his 50th cap today. Little blind pass out to Kuridrani, the outside centre. So Australia with the early ball. And Genia just got that kick away. And coming forward and taking it well, Finn Russell hurls it back to Hogg. And Hogg looking for runners and then delays and gives it out wide, and it's carried on now by Dunbar, and Dunbar still going. Dunbar into the 22, eventually hauled down by Israel Folau. But Scotland pouring on now, and Russell gives it wide. Carried in by Fagerson. Advantage to Scotland. Penalty coming. Laidlaw looks, gives it beyond Maitland onto the century man. Ford is there. Just gets it back. Scotland still carrying it on, still with the advantage. Barkley takes it. Russell now tries to slip his way past Kuridrani. Hogg now dancing. And up to within 5 metres. What a start now by Scotland. Carried on further. And now Richie Gray. Australia beginning to set their defence again, but Scotland muscling up to within 3-4 metres of the line. Laidlaw pointing, complaining. Back they'll come now for that advantage, that long advantage. Scotland might have hoped for more there. That infringement was offside sometime, a good few phases ago, and a penalty is something, Chris Patterson, but Scotland might have hoped for more there.
Yeah, tremendous start from Scotland, both defensively initially and then with the ball in hand in attack as Greg Laidlaw opts to go for the 3 points. Initially a wonderful take at the kick-off by Rory Arnold, and we saw Coleman, his second row partner, start off the ball in hand, and then Scotland came alive after some great defence. Alex Dunbar making the break. Stuart Hogg was working hard to support on the inside, and as soon as they broke the line, I thought the ball was on to go through. You see number 15 Folau had made the tackle. There was space in behind, but Scotland opted to keep the ball in hand, and a great start for Scotland.
So Laidlaw, a kicker of the deadliest accuracy. He's landed some of his last 20 with Gloucester. He can go on those kind of runs. This one should not tax him too much. So within 3 minutes, 3 points for Scotland. James Horwell has joined us. It was a bright start initially by Australia, had plenty of ball, but then things turned a bit blue.
Yeah, it's a fantastic start from Scotland. I think their ability to counter-attack is probably something that Australia probably weren't expecting. They were probably expecting a little bit of more of a dour game, so I think that's probably caught Australia off on the hop there.
It's a great take by Finn Russell from Genia's box hit, because Dayton Haley-Petty was up, he was in there, who strikes me as a tremendous high ball catcher, isn't he? Got a couple back against Wales last week, so it's a good start for Finn Russell.
I think the aerial battle is a part of the game that Australia felt they might have an advantage. Someone like Folau as well, so good in the air. As a Foley gets Australia going again. Oh, and an immediate spill by Ryan Wilson, number 8, so an advantage there. Knock-on advantage, and restarts an area where Scotland have not been too strong in recent matches, but that was a simple mistake by Wilson. And a real opportunity for Australia now. Right on the edge of the 22. Captain Moore, I said captain, he's not today's hooper, but Moore, wonderful work by the hooker. And his 114th cap, and Australia now menacing. Still there for Australia. And the blue line flying up in defence, but this is where Australia are so dangerous. And Scotland going for the interception, gives the chance now to Folau, slips it out, and an opportunity now for Haylett Petty on the wing after the work by Hodge. Still there for the Wallabies, 2 metres out, and Will Genya gives it on to the forwards to crash up to the line, can't quite get it down, just about on the line. So Australia have to try again. Carried on now by Kepu, and then the spill as Folau comes through. And you saw earlier in the move Dunbar flying up to look for the interception, but didn't quite pay off there, and Scotland survive.
Yes, it's the end, isn't it? Kepu just trying to get his hands free around the back of the tackle, trying to see Folau changing his line to come into that space. But, well, we saw the Australian attack last week, James, be so direct at times, and then vary the balance between going tight and going wide. They're at it again this afternoon.
Yeah, I think that was a great start. Shows you how important the restart is in the modern game. I think, you know, Scotland's inability to take the restart there really hurt them. And the Aussies look to be using the ball well like they did last week.
See, the man down injured is Adam Coleman, and that's how it happened instantly.
Yeah, it's his left knee, isn't it? Just gets caught trying to hold or help out of the breakdown, and I think Stephen Moore comes in, makes a tackle. Coleman's foot's caught underneath Pocock and Ford. It's great to see him back on his feet.
So Ryan Wilson's hobbling off alongside good Dr. James Robson. Coleman looks a bit better, but Wilson, uneven running style, taking him off, so we'll see what treatment he requires. But big mistake at the restart, and they're so important in the modern game. Well, we said Coleman was in better shape, but he certainly isn't. So a replacement coming on for Australia. It's Rob Simmons, Queensland Reds man, and John Hardy's coming on in the back row for Scotland. Not a change they would have wanted to make so early on, but a very good player to have waiting in the wings.
Oh, he's tough as teak, as John Hardy. Very similar across the back row. Hamish Watson and Hardy share that kind of workload with them with their club side, as you see Coleman being helped off the field, but they're both real scavenge and Simmons. John Barclay as well, so the balance isn't quite there for Scotland in the back row, but three very good players.
Rob Simmons coming on for Australia, very experienced second row, played a lot of rugby with the Wallabies, and he'll be chomping at the bit for this opportunity.
Well, scrums are always interesting. I know some people don't find them, so you see John Barclay's had to go to number 8, so the two real flankers and Watson and Hardy are on the flanks, but the scrum, such a fascinating area today. Australia might feel they have the edge. Nobody really has the edge there, if I'm honest. Good start. Wow. You see this front row, and again, James talked about Australian scrums. They almost come with this reputation as being it's a bit of an area of weakness, but I don't think it is anymore. And you saw against Wales how robust it was.
Yeah, it's an area that we've put a lot of work in. You know, with Mario Ledesma as the new scrum coach in Argentina, loves a long scrum. So the boys have been working hard with that, definitely.
It's a great advantage for Australia. Lacey gives the signal to Laidlaw, who feeds it backwards. A bit of a crumbling scrum. Barclay picks up in his new position of number 8 now. So there's that readjustment to make in the back row. And Scotland try and dig themselves away from deep with Johnny Gray. And again, a risky business, but Ford was there. And Laidlaw looks for some heavy men again. Goes behind them to Russell. And who will claim this one? No one. Henry Spate tried, knocked it forward, and Scotland indeed have the penalty because it was picked up then by, I say, interfering with the ball, as Henry Spate initially made the mistake, and Scotland, well, that's the sort of ideal exit for Scotland now, having the penalty.
And I think that was deliberate. Looking at Finn Russell's exit, he deliberately went high. I don't think they want to go to the line out too often, and that is an unusual kick to go so high from your own try line, but it's exactly where he wants to put it, in that 5 metre channel. A good chase by Sean Maitland, and Henry Spate just fumbles under pressure.
There's Genya getting in the way a bit. Scotland's line out, and Ford, the man in his 100th cap, goes to Richie Gray, and Russell just shapes to pass and then chips, and it's well placed and well taken, and a chance, and there will be a try, and it's Hugh Jones under the posts, the nearly new man, and his second cap for Scotland gives Scotland what will be a 10-point lead. And a try, an opportunistic try, created by Finn Russell, the bounce of the ball, and then, well, people have talked about the pace of Hugh Jones, and what a moment for him.
What a score, what a start by Scotland. A wonderful execution from the training fields, really, off the top of the line out from the front, and watch the delay on Finn Russell's chip. He's pulling up the Australian defence, and he just dinks it over the top, in between the front line and the back line. And Hugh Jones, it changes his pace, changes his angle to get on the end of that and score under the sticks. Fantastic score by Scotland.
Yeah, they're the ones that you train during the week and you hope come off. When they would have had a plan, first line out of the game around there to play that play. They would have seen something in the tape during the week, and that always gives you great confidence going forward when a move like that comes off that you would have worked spent a lot of time on the training pitch.
Yeah, Scotland will deliberately see Pocock and Hooper in that defensive line. They don't want to take that on physically. Finn Russell delayed his chip to pull the defence forward and then chip in behind, just almost exactly what they're not looking for. And that's a defence you're looking to stop Hugh Jones getting through here, James, but he changed his line and got out of the ball and scored a wonderful try.
Well, a lot of people might not have known the name Hugh Jones. They know his name now. You watch rugby in South Africa. Good deal in the Currie Cup as well. Outstanding player for the Stormers. Was born here in Edinburgh, English parents, and raised there, and went to South Africa, studied there, and has stayed there. But here he is scoring at Murrayfield again, though the restart goes Australia's way, and a chance from Foley, and then just spills, taken by Hooper, and the referee sees it. So a couple of early mistakes by Australia. We're talking about the difficulty of sides in the Northern Hemisphere hitting the ground running because they're a bit rusty, but it's almost as if Australia look a bit rustier in this one.
Yeah, I think Scotland are putting under an immense amount of pressure early on. You can see that their intensity's up. They're really trying to get in Australia's faces, not allowing them the time and space that they had last week, and they're doing a good job. You've seen a couple of handling errors already from the Aussies.
So to the scrum again. Oh, that's Bern Cotter smiling. It is. Goodness me. Right, the scrum in Scotland without WP Nell. Willem Nell is missing. He'll be back in a couple of weeks or so. There is Fagerson on the tight head. Outstanding prospect, but just 20. Alistair Dickinson an injury as well, so loose head there. Alan Dell, and Fagerson's side goes down. Penalty to Scotland is the decision from John Lacey.
I think they're a little bit lucky there. I think Scott Seo had their tight head under an enormous amount of pressure, and I feel it could have gone the other way as well.
You speak as a man who has seen referees' arms go up either way and been a bit baffled.
Too many times, mate. Too many times.
Well, the early decisions going the way of Scotland. So Scott Seo is called Scott because after Scotland, his father was in the squad for Western Samoa in the 1991 World Cup, and decided Scott Seo was born the week before that famous match. Scotland won that match in the 1991 World Cup, and so Scott Seo. He was actually going to call him Scotland Seo, but I think his wife said, let's just go with Scott. So Scotland again. John Hardy gives it on and making headway again. There's Dunbar onto Laidlaw, onto Russell, and offloading to Richie Gray, who turned around and found no one in front of him for a moment. Then there was Sekope Kepu, and penalty this time to the Wallabies.
Yeah, it's David Pocock, isn't it? Just working so hard over the ball. Johnny Gray just took the ball from Finn Russell's pop, and then that man Pocock, copybook, textbook, over the top of the ball. He had to fight hard to stay in there, but he's won his side a good penalty.
You can see this is what he's so good at, surviving the clear out. He's so strong over the ball. His ability to survive. There's 2-3 Scottish players all over him, and he still survives there and be able to hang on to the ball, and that's why he's won the penalty.
Troops running on, medicals, physios. It's like a Richie Gray is down injured. See Australia with the 3 early penalties conceded. Actually, there's a player who plays for Southland. There's Richie Gray getting treatment, always worrying. See how he fares. There's a Cardiff Viega plays for Southland because Tove Viega played for in the centre for Samoa in 1991. He's named after that famous victory over Wales in the World Cup. Anyway, here's the look at the try again. Stop rambling.
Yeah, it's how quick he changes his line to attack the ball. The ball's in no man's land. It sits up, and he's the first to attack. He gets inside Spate, I think it is, and gets there ahead of Falau, and he deserved his score.
Well, while we're watching that, worrying for Scotland, Richie Gray is coming off and Grant Gilchrist is coming on again. Grant Gilchrist, a very decent replacement, but Richie Gray a big loss, and changes that Scotland would not have wanted to make so early on as well. But Richie Gray is off and Grant Gilchrist comes on and into the second row. Say a head injury replacement, so they'll do an assessment. But off he goes for that check, and again the protocols have to be followed. So Australia 12 minutes in, 10 points down, and ball to play with. Genya fires the back line again. Foley gives it on. Falau in the little loop around by Foley. Nice play by Australia, and coming through the middle is Hilet-Petty onto Hodge. Beautiful from the Wallabies, and Hodge for the try. A glorious try from Reece Hodge, and Australia strike back.
Well, Scotland's try was out of the top draw, but that's even better by Australia. Again from a line-out. All 3 tries in the first half against Wales last week came from line-out attack. This is another set-piece attack, and Reece Hodge scored one of those last week. He's a great player. He can do everything. He can hit it up, he can distribute, but that was a set-piece move, James, out of the top draw, wasn't it?
Yeah, they've continued on from where they were last week. This sort of B-zone part of the field from 40 to 22 where they like to attack, they like to use the width. You can see here, Foley gets a loop around there, and the Scottish defence are on the back foot from there, and then there's some great offloading there, and Reece Hodge does well here to finish with a couple of Scottish defenders on him.
The other thing that's really interesting is you see Spate and Hodges keeping the width. They're so wide. That means that Sean Maitland can't come in and close the gate. Stuart Hawk's trying to come up from behind. Falau's at second receiver there with a lovely pass back in the loop to Foley. And then Hilet-Petty takes the space ahead of him, gets his hands free. I thought Hodges could have given that, but he's got the power to drive over and score.
He's done well. I think Spatey would have been a little bit upset if he didn't score that, if he didn't give it.
Yeah, Reece Hodge again doing the damage, but after this move, you know, again, if you're watching as a neutral, just enjoy the rugby, because Hilet-Petty and Hodge linking up, as again you mentioned they did so well in Cardiff last weekend. And Reece Hodge, who's been scoring try after try for the Melbourne Rebels this season, earlier in Super Rugby, does it once more on the international stage, and Foley for the conversion. That's better from Foley. I say better because last week that was the one part of his game that didn't quite fire, place kicking, but he is 1 from 1 today, and Australia within 3 points.
This is just excellent attack, good execution at the line, and then look at the number of options available to the Australian players. Got Foley on the loop, Hilet-Petty puts injection, and in there he gets in the space between Jones and Maitland, gets his hands free, and Hodges scores.
And the restart taken well enough for Australia. There's Henry Spate underneath it, and Falau now always dangerous but well watched. And Grant Gilchrist in the red scrum cap on early for Scotland and into the action. Richie Gray off for a head injury assessment, and Foley's clearing kick, and waiting and gathering is Russell. Now Hogg, and Hogg always a buzz when he gets it, but again he's well watched. A Hooper and company take him down, and Laidlaw under pressure, and Scotland looking to secure this. And Rob Simmons was fine, says the referee, as the ball was out, but then there's a little knock on by Australian hands, and Scotland will have the scrum. A little bit messy.
It's nice and clean in there, wasn't it, James? A few boots flying.
No, I think there's a lot of pressure at the breakdown, you can see, and there was a much better line from the Australians then on the kick chase after the first one where Scotland nearly went through. I think they're obviously aware of that now, and there was a much better kick chase line, and you can see they've been able to put Scotland under a lot of pressure here.
Yeah, battle at the breakdown. We all know around the world about Pocock and Hooper. For those of you who don't know, Hardy is very similar. And indeed, Hamish Watson as well. He's so tough and strong over the ball. John Barclay made his name in that, so there will be a lot of pressure.
But all four of those men you mentioned there, sort of Barclay side, the four who are real open side flankers, they're all of the same build. They're all ridiculously powerful upper bodies. You can see them, and Watson is certainly of that build. And they get over it like limpets on a rock, and they're just immovable. It's a fascinating battle in the back row. And there is Hooper on the open side for Australia. And Australia certainly giving a bit of a shove on there in the scrum, and Scotland under pressure. Barclay does well. Started at blindside, but at number 8 now, and Scottish body's not getting in there, so Australia will have that ball and a chance to attack. And here is Kuridrani. Tavita Kuridrani just tries to muscle his way past Hugh Jones. And things moving in the direction of Australia now, and Genya, a couple of false starts. And then the spill again, and carried on, and Fagerson gives it out to Gilchrist and on to Ross Ford, and there is Barclay, and Ross Barclay fancies a little chip through, and there'll be a line out to Australia. Again, just a few uncharacteristic mistakes from the Wallabies.
Yeah, John Barclay opting to drop on the toe, and that could be because of the amount of pressure on at the breakdown. He knew he was isolated in the wide channels. I think Visser was outside him, but he would have wanted that ball to stay in field, I think, James. That's
sorry, Lopeti Tamani just down injured at the moment, the number 8, who has been, he's effectively the man who's been keeping Pocock at on the blind side. He's been so good at number 8, and he looks in a bit of bother here, James.
Yeah, it looks like he might have a bit of a stinger or a burner down his arm from a contact, which is a nerve-related thing. So hopefully he's all right and can continue, because obviously losing Coleman early on is not ideal. So hopefully you'd like to see him stay out there.
Interesting to see 6 forward replacements on the bench for Australia as well. Since the squad's been increased to 23, I don't think I've ever seen that. Having 6 forwards, but we may need them. Looking at the opening 17 minutes or so of the game so far.
Yeah, I think it's something that Michael Cheika really likes doing. He likes, because he asks a lot of his forward pack, and so he wants them to run themselves into the ground, and then they know that there's fresh replacements on. There's 3 locks on the bench for Australia. Unfortunately losing Coleman early is not ideal, but we've got coverage to be able to make sure that they can get the job done.
And that area of the forward strength for Australia later on becomes accentuated now, because Scotland have had to lose Richie Gray and Ryan Wilson very early in the match, so their supplies in the forward department are becoming a little bit depleted. Australia safely with the line out and get a decent maul going, better than decent now, and they have the penalty coming out the side, John Barclay. And so they are free attack here with a penalty coming. Lovely pick up by Folau, and Folau almost through, and a beautiful offload, and a chance now for Australia through Hooper and Genya has Kuridrani. Beyond him, it's taken by Scotland and by Hugh Jones, who had to be there. And Australia's long advantage is over now, and then Scotland have the penalty. So really a dream result from that passage of play for Scotland to come away with a penalty, because again, for all the world, Australia were scoring.
They're just so dangerous with the ball in hand. This time again from a line out, but it was a driven line out. It was driven very well. It took almost 10 or 15 metres out, and as you see Richie Gray coming back onto the field after his head injury assessment for Grant Gilchrist. It's great to see him back, but the Australian backs are so dangerous. Yet again, Israel Folau was at second receiver just outside Foley there, and he's terrorising the opposition defences.
Just a reminder exactly what happened there with Richard Gray. When you have the head injury assessment, you have a maximum of 10 minutes. You have to go through certain protocols, certain tests, and if you pass those tests under medical supervision, you're allowed back on. It's an area they're very closely observant on in rugby, of course, with head knocks, and Richie Gray is back on, so Grant Gilchrist off. And Hugh Jones scored the try, and a telling intervention here as well.
Yeah, there's Folau at second receiver. More often we see him out in the wide channels. Hooper is a classic 7 open side support player, and that pass there from Genia almost hodged in for another try, but Hugh Jones, well, he scored one, and he certainly saved one there as well.
Scotland still under pressure though, and Jones has had a busy match indeed. Ford finds his mark. This time it was Barclay, and here's Hardy. He's tunnelling his way forward. Carried in this time by Johnny Gray. Russell. Sends it high, not too much distance on it. A wonderful take by Genya this time. Scrum half leaping high in Australia with an opportunity once more. Carried in by Rob Simmons and Moore, and the crash ball for Folau, and he's still going, so strong. Dunbar eventually held on to him. Kuridrani, little blind pass, looking to pop it out to Rhys Hodge, was a bit forward in any case, but off Hodge's hands it came. And again, just the life of this Australian backline.
They're just so dangerous. There's so many threats across the field, and that time it was Stephen Moore distributing to Israel Folau, so it's not just the forwards. And well, this is where they sourced possession, probably the smallest man in the field getting up highest in Will Genia. And this is the end, just Kuridrani's pass just too far in front of Hodge. I think he was well covered by Maitland anyway, but maybe I look back to last week as well. I felt Australia did leave 1 or 2 tries out there, and you know, if you look at the scoreboard, they're trailing Scotland at the moment, and it will frustrate the players and the coaches that you don't make the most of these opportunities.
Trailing, but certainly most of the play in this match has been happening in this area between the Scotland 22 and the halfway line. And the Australian coaching staff watching on and watching a scrum, which again I think they believe has the edge. Laidlaw flinging that to the back of the scrum, and a penalty to Australia this time. And as much as for the penalty it immediately yields, it also gives that confidence as well going forward. And it quite often happens at the end of scrums where one side is the upper hand. Someone will get a tap on the head as if to say we've got you, and that other player will respond. Fagerson was in there.
I think that's a great mental boost for the Aussies at scrum time. I think the last one they were a little bit unlucky not to get some reward their way, so they feel that they're getting on top there, and as the game progresses they'll really look to turn the screws there, and that's a good win for the Australian tight five.
This is Manuel Ledesma claiming the penalty for his work as well, but yeah, I agree, James. Scott Seal really won the penalty there. Helped, I think, by Pocock on that blind side as well, really firing his loose head pop into the scrum.
Cheka with some instructions. Really keep the coaches in glass boxes here at Murrayfield. They have been damaged in the past, James, I have to say that.
I'm sure Michael Cheika will be on his best behaviour today, hopefully.
So Foley, 1 from 1 so far, and this to draw level. Another one sweetly struck by Foley, and we're all tied up at Murrayfield. 23 minutes gone. I'd say the scores are even, but Australia certainly with the upper hand at the moment.
That was a lovely strike, wasn't it, by Foley? His radar was a little bit out last week, but Mick Burns sitting in that glass coach's box, you run about with the Australians, a wizard as a kicker coach. I worked with him for a long time, and certainly put a lot of work in with Foley this week, and Foley's came up, kicked really well so far.
Again, it's down Spates Channel. It takes it in the feeds, in Australia look to clear, look to run, and again making good ground. Rhys Hodge, Genya slips his way past Laidlaw, then hit by Fagerson, and Hooper plays scrum half. Good carry by Lopeti Tamani. And there's Hodge again, but he's well met this time. So Genya goes a little bit longer, and Hogg waiting. Hasn't had too much to do recently. A little bit of ground in front of him here, and again Murrayfield lifts the volume. And he's taken down by Moore, chopped around the legs. Russell flings it out wide. Visser to no one. Jones has to get back and does well. Russell wandering around looking for options, and Hogg there. So a penalty. There was an advantage being played, so that was an infringement by Sekope Kepu, the Waratahs tight head. Offside. He gives a massive exhalation of the cheeks and a grimace, but a chance. I see we're on the outskirts of Laidlaw's kicking range here, but he's going to have a bash.
Yeah, I think it's the right decision. It's the right thing to do. Just after, having a 10 points to nil lead, and Australia coming back with make it 10-all. I think it's the right thing to do, and also just gives you more time in the opposition territory if it does fall short or fail to go over.
Yeah, Scotland haven't been down this end of the field for a while, so if they can come away with any points here, it'll be they'll be seen as a win for them, and then once again puts them ahead on the scoreboard.
They've certainly got some big kickers out there. Russell can give it a bash and Hogg can knock them over from 55 metres, but Laidlaw has the accuracy. Again, he's stretching his range here. And it's scooped it up in the air and just trying to give it a little bit extra. And Hodge with the clearance and taken in by Maitland. And Sean Maitland in great form for Saracens this season, his new club after leaving London Irish. And Johnny Gray gives it on to Ford. And Barkley to Russell, to Hogg, and Hogg to Hugh Jones and Visser, and Tim Visser still going. And deep into the 22, Scotland there for the first time in a while. And there is Hamish Watson. Russell again, and Finn Russell almost through. Offloads to Richie Gray, and Richie Gray trying to batter his way over the smallest man in the pitch. Wide it goes now from Scotland through Fagerson, and on to Hugh Jones, and Jones is in again! Hugh Jones scores his second try. What a remarkable game he's having, and Scotland lead once more.
Scotland are just coming alive with ball in hand, and they haven't had a lot of possession, but when they have had possession, they've caused all sorts of trouble for the Australian defence. That time, Hugh Jones actually set Tim Visser off down the left-hand touchline. He managed to get himself back involved in the game and score that vital try. Finn Russell had a lovely break and offload feeding Richie Gray. And then Hugh Jones, who spoke about his outside break prior to the game, and we saw it there again. This is them attacking the edge. The delayed pass from Hugh Jones here just sucks in Folau, allowing a little bit of space for Tim Visser. And when the ball's recycled, Hugh Jones kicks Fagerson's pass and skips outside as it's Seo or Kepu and scores.
Kuridrani, wasn't it, in defence there, James? That was a good step around Kuridrani.
Yeah, that was some great feet. Tavita's an excellent defender, and he'll be disappointed with himself after that one. But I think it was great lead-up play. Tim Visser down the left-hand flank, who's been doing a lot of that for Quins this year, my teammate at Harlequins. So he's been excellent for us, and you can see him there. When he gets any type of space, he's a big man, but he shifts well, and he did a great job there, and really set the Australian defence on the back foot.
And Kirsten Laidlaw, 7-point try, and Scotland's lead stretches again. What a game Hugh Jones is having. And I said he played in a sort of scrappy win over Japan in the summer, and that was it really. Came on as a replacement there, and here 2 tries against the Wallabies.
It's the balance in his footwork as well. I mean, a lot of people have great footwork, but they don't have that acceleration. Once you've been able to put the defender on his heels, and Hugh Jones certainly has that. He's been on fire all week at training, and he certainly started this game with a bang.
A name that you feel should be cried out loud in Cardiff. They said English parents and English raised, but born here in Edinburgh. And the touch finder doesn't quite do that, so Foley manages to, and Russell is told just to calm down by his captain Laidlaw because they're coming all the way back. There wasn't much of an angle there for the clearing kick for Foley. So 22. As he plays for the Stormers. You think of the other centres, Duncan Taylor injured, he's coming back soon. This man's ahead now of Matt Scott and Mark Bennett. And noise and cries of Scotland around Murrayfield, and it's a bit messy in the line out. So Maitland is into Tamani and Moore. There's Fagerson having a rough time in the scrum, but good ball carrier. Johnny Gray, older brother Richie lends considerable weight, and Laidlaw sends it high. Maitland chasing this down for Scotland. Backwards it comes to Hamish Watson on his own now, and he just bounces off Foley. Not a huge man, Watson, but immensely powerful. He does that for Edinburgh time and time again. Forward to Russell, and Scotland attacking again through Dunbar. Johnny Gray just looking at a little chip through from Jones, and Visser trying to keep it in play. Out it goes eventually, and it goes Australia's way, but some invention from Scotland.
Absolutely. I said it earlier, they are coming alive with ball in hand, and that time they were far more direct. Johnny Gray, Richie Gray carrying hard, Alex Dunbar straightening the line, but yet they're still looking for those edges, the outside edge, putting footwork on the defenders, and when they kick, they're kicking really, really short so they can kick to contest and try and win the ball back. Well
spotted by a touch judge, eventually came off the sort of shin of Tim Visser, so Australia's ball, but having to clear from some depth here. 10 minutes to go in this first half. Foley and Visser waiting for this one, and the quick take to Hogg. Hogg sees what's available, not too much at the moment. Fagerson with Johnny Gray and Richie Gray behind them as ballast. And Scotland making some inroads. There's Barclay and Russell, and there is Hamish Watson again, well taken down by Rhys Hodge. And again the battle on the ground now ends in a penalty for Australia. Good work by the Wallabies.
And it's Pocock again. He gets into that position so quickly, and once again he's very hard to move once he's down there, and wins a very important penalty for the Wallabies.
It's just his arms are just enormous. He's taking a sabbatical, and he'll be missed from
not just his technical ability, but his mental ability to see that so quickly. His strength keeps him in there, but he actually gets in there so quickly. He knew that was happening. He knew Hamish Watson was getting just half a yard, breaking the line, and he's in and over the ball. And
then look what it's earned now for the Wallabies. A line out deep inside the Scotland 22. He's so valuable.
Fantastic kick from Foley, but yeah, again, Pocock is just one of those guys. He's a real student of the game, loves to look at the game well, and spends a lot of time trying to perfect his craft, which is the breakdown.
So Australia with an opportunity again, and taken down by Hooper, and through Pocock and Genya to Folau, and Folau into his own man, and that will end Scotland's way. It was Rhys Hodge. It was just confusion as much as anything else.
There just seemed to be one pass a little bit behind, and everyone's running angles were a little bit put off, and I think that's what caused Rhys Hodge to just get a little bit in front of Folau here. You know, that ball's a little bit behind him, and if it was in front, Hodge was also looking for the short ball, so I think, you know, if the ball was out in front, he probably would have been right on the spot where he needed to be.
I think what was good about Scotland's defence was the width. If your defence can line up outside the attack and come up, you can do that. Whereas last week, I don't want to keep going back to Wales last week, Wales seemed really quite narrow in defence, and that would have been okay because Folau would have gotten outside. But there's good width by Hugh Jones there, and he came up pretty hard, and well, I think he'll be happy.
Off to Montpellier at the end of the season. He's practicing his beach pose already. Actually, Montpellier doesn't have a beach pose, does it? Oh God, my French geography has gone horribly wrong. Scotland lose their line out, and again an area where perhaps just been a little bit weak of late, and a gifted chance to Australia. Carried on well by Sekope Kepu. The ball just there still for Australia, and a little inside pass to Hooper. And the penalty to Scotland this time. This time it's the work by Barclay on the ground. Anything Pocock can do, the Scarlets man can match.
Exactly, great body position there, and there was a great line-out steal from Rob Simmons by the Wallabies there to turn the ball over. But you know, that's a really important penalty that he's won there for his team. It lets Scotland off the hook a little bit, and now you can see the kicks well into Australia's half, and the line-out will take place on the 40-metre line in Australian territory.
It's the same as Pocock. Look how quickly he gets over. Then he has the strength to absorb the hit from Tamani, stay on his feet, get his hands on the ball. So brave, but so technically good as well. These guys who play in the back row and all over the field now. It's not just a back row skill.
So Scotland's line out again under pressure, but Richie Gray is there, and Watson takes it at a bit of a canter and makes some good ground. Not sure he knows too much about it at the moment, but Australia trying to turn them. Richie Gray again. You can see what Scotland have with him back on the pitch. Russell, a little show, and then give Hardy to Maitland. And Laidlaw just delays and delays, gives it to Johnny Gray. And Scotland into the 22 again. Australia trying to secure that ball, but still with the home side. Once more to Fagerson. Eventually punched back. And Johnny Gray. Final 5 minutes in this first half. Russell again. And Richie Gray. And carried in by Barkley. Scotland just get it to ground, but the ball is lost, and Australia will have the scrum. Again, some enterprise going forward, some encouraging signs, but you have to be so alert and so strong at every breakdown of play.
Yeah, slightly more direct, wasn't it, that time? As he just the knock on and the tackle, they're slightly more direct from Scotland. Australia's defence was up to the task. As you say, big collisions in and around the tackle area.
Just another breakdown. Ross Ford's down on one knee, and treatment coming on. I say it's hard work as well, because it's a high-paced game. But Hugh Jones, you're just joining us, he's scored a couple of tries, and that is why Scotland lead by 7 points, nearing the break. And the referees had enough with the physios. I think that was a tactical injury, so just give me a little breather for a moment, ref.
Be interesting to see what Australia do from this scrum, James. If they do have dominance, they could see this, albeit on their own 22, as an attacking opportunity.
Yeah, I think they'll try and keep the ball in here and try and get a penalty and try and work their way into some decent field position to get some points before the half. But you'll see what happens here. But I think that's what they'll look to do.
Watch on this side here. There is a Kepu against Seo against Fagerson. Now they move it quite quickly, and so the clearing kick over the head of Visser, and it's a very, very good clearing kick. Well, yeah, you can certainly see value in going for the penalty from the scrum if you do have a clear advantage, but Scotland will have the line out.
It was a good kick as well, wasn't it? It was one of those just over Tim Visser's head, where he can't risk going for it and then knocking it into touch and conceding the throw into the line out. But really good execution of an exit by Australia.
It's a powerful figure, Ross Ford. Great player, experienced player. I think this is the one area where as a lot of hookers often do, just feel the pressure. He's got some good targets in there, and the Gray brothers and Barkley, who's up so high this time, he took it well. And Watson. Strains of flower of Scotland around Murrayfield. Bit of a moment's thought from Richie Gray. Laidlaw pointing in complaint, but the ball there for Scotland. And well taken by Haylett Petty, gets it away well enough, although it had to be a big leap from Folau to take it. Then the step, and keeps that ball alive. And Tavita Kuridrani, danger now. And Australia on the march, but good covering defence by Scotland. Genya then slips it out. And Australia making good ground. Taken in by Lopeti Tamani, the Rebels number 8. Just a couple of minutes remaining in this first half, and very aggressive defence from Barkley on Moore. And a great turnover by Scotland. It might be a counter turnover. Well, John Lacey tells Australia to stay there. And Russell then with his kick half charge down, picked up by Dunbar. And all a bit messy at the end, but Scotland will have the scrum. And it was great defence by Barkley initially.
Yeah, it was a big hit, wasn't it? It was not only the big collision there, see him flying out of line, spotting Stephen Moore, but then he gets to his feet quickly. And he's quite lucky there. I don't think he can play the ball with his hands because there's a ruck formed, but he was quick enough to fool John Lacey.
That's what every good back rower does. Bends the laws as much as they can, and you know, he did very well. It was to throw one hand out there and get it stuck on the ball. I think that was a great effort, and you know, there are some massive collisions going on in there, both sides of the ball from both teams. So it's the physicality stakes look to have stepped up here in the last 10 minutes of this half.
Very interesting. All this will take its toll in the final 20 minutes on both sides, but who can expose that? Again, you look at replacements, you look at the squad. Rugby is a 23-man game now. The final minute, though, and the final attack will go to Australia. Ngenya. Nice work by Dane Halett-Petty again. Ngenya with quick recycling through Foley, and Falau coming into the line, and once again he just makes his way past a tackle or two. Thump coming in on Henry Spate, and carried in by Rob Simmons. Still Australia's ball. This time through Seo, and Hodge gives it on, and Falau, and Vissers up quickly, this time on Kuridrani. Just checks the Australian attack for a moment. Australia desperate to take something with the clock red. And Moore takes it in. Ngenya under pressure, the ball is there, it's fine, says the referee. And it's Allendale into uncharted territory, the loosehead prop. So Scotland have the final attack. What can they make of it? Russell, the kick, he sees Spate forward, it's going to go dead though, and the half will be over. And what a half it's been. Scotland's first half of international rugby this season, and they lead the Wallabies.
Yeah, the concern coming into this game was that Australia were match fit, they were match sharp, obviously having played so many internationals. Scotland hadn't played since June, but one or two problems at the set piece perhaps for Scotland, but when they've got the ball in hand and the tries they scored have been absolutely outstanding. A cracking 40 minutes of international rugby.
Yeah, Scotland have done really well. They've taken their opportunities when they've been presented, and they've really probably put the Wallabies on the back foot, I guess, with their line speed and their tackle completions. They haven't really missed a lot of tackles, only for Australia's try where they did, so I think they'll be very happy with that first half.
Just remaining on the pitch for a moment, Scotland, they lead 2 tries from Hugh Jones, and Scotland lead Australia 17-10 at half-time. Good start, John. So Foley is ready to start this second half. No changes to either side at half time, so we have just the original changes made in the first half, which were Rob Simmons on in the second row for Adam Coleman for Australia, and Ryan Wilson was off in the back row. John Hardy came on for Scotland. Australia again with that ball from the start, so an early chance for Henry Spate. And restarts, still an area of some concern for Scotland. And Australia have the penalty. Not rolling away.
Well, where Scotland were at fault for the restart in the first half, you couldn't fault really Scotland there. An incredible piece of skill by Falau to win back the short kick by Foley, and then as the ball's recycled, I think it was Hardy that was penalised, and it's the first opportunity for points in the second half to the Australians.
Great start for Australia. Win the restart back and then get the first opportunity to put points on the board in the second half. This will be a real mental boost for them going forward, to be able to put points, get within one score, and to be able to take the lead. And I think it could be an important kick for Bernard Foley coming up.
Saw Adam Coleman on the sidelines with crutches by his side, so it's not good going forward for Coleman, and changes have to be made in the second row for Australia, because they were starting to build a partnership, Rory Arnold and Adam Coleman. And Checker watching on as Bernard Foley prepares to try and find the first points of this second half. Ideal conditions for a kicker, hardly a breath of wind. He's kicking well today, 3 from 3, and whittling away at the lead of Scotland at the start of the second half. It's a 4-point game with just 2 minutes played after the break.
Well, another really nice strike, wasn't by Foley. Difficult just after half time. Remember, you've been sitting in the junior meeting, tightening up and cooling down for the last 15 minutes or so, and he comes out and does that. And Australia were kicking at 64% over the last 12 months, and something that probably needed to be addressed. And Foley, well, he's done that today.
So Russell with the restart for Scotland, but taken well, very well by Arnold, and carried in by his new second row partner, Rob Simmons. And deep it goes, and Hodge with a huge thump. Hogg just sends it low, straight to the chest of Hodge again, and out it goes into the east stand, and Scotland's ball.
I wonder if that was a sign of a change, a slight change in game plan there. We saw in the first half any long kicks to Scotland, they got back in numbers and the look to take Australia on. That time Stuart Hogg was looking for territory, looking to chip away at Australia, but Hodge was up to it with a good clearance kick.
We know against a side of the quality of Australia, you can't in any way sit in a lead and hope the game is going to come to you. You have to keep trying to score more and more, because Australia probably are. Good take by Johnny Gray. And Pocock being told to get out of there by Lacey. So Laidlaw does. And Richie Gray gets to ground. You see Hardy and the strength of the man. A risky offload. Maitland had to do well there. And Figerson lays it back. And Barkley. Johnny Gray. And Watson. And Australia trying to hold up the open side flanker, but he gets down. And Russell, little step, and Russell's almost away, looking for support runners now. Still just about going himself. Flings it out. And Laidlaw gives it on. Carried on by Dell. And there is Barkley, and Scotland suddenly have a bit of pace. And it slows for a moment, and Gray gives it on to Figerson. And he tumbles to earth, and still with Scotland. Russell gives it deeper this time. Hugh Jones, little grubber kick through, and chasing it is Hardy, and it bounces for him, but Hardy is then shunted into touch by Will Genya. And Scotland were attacking slowly, and then that little bit of extra zip came.
It's a good balance to the game, isn't it? You know, that they were taking the direct route, and then once they send some space out wide, they get to the danger man so far, and Jones, and he drop onto the toe. Well covered in the end. Again, he is covering the backfield on his own. Folau seems to be quite up flat in the outside channels, so there's a lot of ground for the 9 to cover, but he did it well there.
Scotland almost down to 14 men there. Dell was having his hamstring stretch, perhaps just a bit of cramp, and he's okay. And Hardy, the bounce of the ball favours the flanker, and Johnny Gray gives it on to Ross Ford. And Ford trying to get it back, but good work again by the Wallabies. And it's coming back their way. No, says John Lacey. Scrum to Scotland.
That came from a bit of inaccuracy at the line out. You saw that your exit line outs are so critical nowadays to relieve pressure, and we just see a little bit of a mix-up here with the delivery. Didn't get it to Will Genya, and Scotland pounced on it. So this is a great opportunity for Scotland here with the scrum, 10 metres out right in front.
Well, it's a great position. They have a big blind side there as well. You see Jonathan Humphreys, who knows a bit about scrummaging. But Scotland have to show more here in this scrum than they did in the first half.
I'd be really surprised if Foley doesn't shift over to the left-hand side of the scrum in defence here, because there's Stuart Hogg and Sean Maitland on the right side. Look, there's the communication, trying to figure out who goes where. You must respect that sort of side. Kuradrani's now going over. That's too big a space to leave.
This is almost a dream attacking position. Almost, I don't know, 3/5, 2/3 of the pitch. The scrum is over. It's not quite centre. It just creates that large blind side there. And what does Scotland have planned? It has to be a good scrum first of all. As Pretty solid. Scotland's beginning to slip a bit though now. They really have to move that ball, so Laidlaw does just that. Scotland then from the back foot, and Hogg almost through himself, and Hogg up to within 3 metres of the line. The acceleration he has, and now Scotland come through the forwards, and the Gray brothers to the line, and Johnny Gray has it down. The referee looking, Scotland celebrating, and the TMO will look at it. But you do well to stop the Gray brothers. And that's the sort of positive question. Any reason not to award the try? So you have to prove doubt. So in other words, you're not looking for reason to see it as a try. You have to see it as a reason why you can't award it. Again, that's always the benefit to the attacking side there.
That's pretty conclusive there. I think he's made, like Ian Davis did say, that the assistant referee on the far side said he'd seen the ball being grounded. James, do you agree?
Yeah, I imagine this will be a pretty quick decision here, unless he's lost it there. But I think, yeah, you can see the ball will be on the line there. That's a try. Great work try for Scotland off some good field position from the scrum, and I think Laidlaw did really well to get the ball out of the scrum going backwards.
Simon McDowell says just that, the TMO, and Scotland, well, Australia had the first points of the second half, Scotland have the first try, and they moved beyond 20 points.
And the platform was the scrum, wasn't it? Scotland just held long enough. Allendale, Ross Forbes, Xander Fagerson setting the platform. Greg Laidlaw opted to go right, and Stuart Hogg was just seething pace up to the 2 or 3 yards of the line, and Johnny Gray, a nice angle, a good hard ball carry. He managed to reach the line, and another try for Scotland.
So from the celebration and the noise to the more hushed tones for Greg Laidlaw's conversion attempt. Coming round well, a glancing blow off the post, but enough to send it back, so just the 5 points. But again, it was off a scrum that was going backwards, and then Hogg did this.
It's so quick, it's so difficult, so much space for Kieran Brown to cover, and Hogg just gets that footwork similar to Jones in the first half, and then he was eventually brought down, and Johnny Gray coming on that angle so hard, so much desire to reach the line. It's very hard to stop.
So how will Australia respond against the little dinked restart? And again, it works so well for Australia. So they're on the front foot once more through Moore. And then Lopeti Tamani. And Hooper and Dunbar trying to hold him up. But he gets down. Dean Mumm is on for Australia. On for Rory Arnold. And there is Rob Simmons, so a new second row partnership. And Kepu carries, and then Genya. And then the tackles fly up, but through comes Hodge once again, just about getting the offload away, but takes it down. Genya with a little fumble, but fine, says the referee. And Tamani. And Australia stung into action here. In Scotland, their attack has been so good. The defence has to be just as strong. Foley. And Hooper took it. Flat enough, says the referee. A little sly pass into Folau. Australia just beginning to look a little bit ponderous. And there's Pocock. Moore gives it on to Kepu. And then the quicker ball. Foley, and it just went beyond Hooper and couldn't quite take it, Reece Hodge. So again, the spill at the end from Australia, but a reward for the defence of Scotland through those phases, a dozen or so.
Yeah, there was some great continuity there from Australia. I think they held on to the ball more than they probably have for most of the game, but then just the little miss pass, just the timing was off again, and you know, Reece Hodge was through a hole there, but you know, his timing was a little bit off in between the Australians, and yeah, once again, good defence from the Scottish.
Yeah, Hodge had already made the clean break in that phase of play just slightly earlier. There's 9 handling errors for Australia, so unlike them, and such a wonderful day here in Edinburgh, but for me the Scottish defence got organised really quickly. There was venom and there was physicality in each tackle, but they were organised and back on their feet quickly.
Yeah, their defensive coach Matt Taylor is a great. He used to coach me at the Reds. He's a fantastic coach, and he would have had them very organised.
Let's relive the tries from the match. Hugh Jones first of all, then Hodge with a beautiful move from Australia. And a second from Hugh Jones and his quick feet.
And there's Johnny Gray. That's a beautiful contrast to rugby, isn't it? The sublime skill, the fast foot of Hugh Jones gaining you 5 points, and then the sheer power and determination of Johnny Gray picking up 5 as well.
Now a chance for the Wallabies to put the pressure on the Scotland scrum here. Scotland will look to get this away sharply, because already I'll say Scotland standing a little bit firmer there and perhaps even getting moved forward. So Russell, he delayed and delayed his kick, and eventually it comes now to Henry Spate. Hogg and Maitland trying to heave him towards touch, but another opportunity now for Australia. And Timani, Scott Seal, and Australia making good ground again. Kuridrani finds support now, and Dane Hilapetti with a step infield. He finds support from Folau. It's a Hail Mary pass, but Ross Ford is there for Scotland. It was hopeful from Folau, and just a little chipped clearance, and Scotland will still be under pressure here. Australia's line out, but it could have been worse, could have been better for Australia.
There's some sublime pieces of skill in there. Could have drawn his hands to Hilapetti, and then you can see what Folau's thinking. They're trying to keep the ball alive. I must say, Finn Russell getting back and making that tackle was outstanding.
He throws it over the head of 3 Australians here.
You can see why he wants to keep the tempo, why he wants to keep the ball alive. It looks like Allendale's first cap. He's done really well on the loose, hasn't he? He's carried hard, he's been effective over ball, and the scrum work was certainly improving.
So Gordon Reid is on at loosehead for Dell. And this is where the squad depth does get tested, and carrying it forward now, David Pocock. He said it's a 23-man game, and Hooper, and there is Reid meeting him, and Pocock, and Australia still threatening. Now Timani, Genya, well taken by Johnny Gray. Good pickup by Tavita Kuridrani. And Scotland's defence is having to reset itself so quickly. There is Dean Mumm on in the second row, makes some good ground. Foley, little pop infield to Hodge. Still there for the Wallabies. Foley again to Hooper. Hooper over the top of Finn Russell. Carried in by Rob Simmons this time. 9 phases, still there for Australia. And a scrum to Scotland again. That defence working so hard, and the man taking most of the plaudits there, Hamish Watson.
Yeah, we've spoken about how sparkling Scotland have been in attack, but the last 10 minutes or 5 or 6 minutes certainly all about defence, and it's the ability to get back on your feet and make a tackle. Scotland are only committing 1 or 2 to the tackle. The rest are on their feet coming forward in the line. It's so hard for the Australians to break through.
Yeah, their discipline in defence has been excellent. You know, they're disciplined to only send a tackler plus 1 player to the breakdown, and then fanning out. So making sure, as you said, they've got numbers on their feet and ability to get off the line aggressively, which you see they're doing. They're putting Foley and Genia under a lot of pressure, which is not giving them the time and space that they've had previously.
And this is rugby. From having made all those phases of tackles, working so hard, you have to get down, pack down in a scrum and shove your heart out. So Laidlaw, again, I think we have totally abandoned straight put-ins to scrums. Penalty to Australia, and there is the edge they have.
I think that's on the loose head side for Australia. Scott Seo again, I think, put a lot of pressure through the scrum there and get just reward with a penalty, and they're going to take the shot.
Do you think they considered, well, as a skipper, James, did they consider the scrum there as well, do you think?
I think probably not at this stage. I think you know, right in front, it's almost a gift, 3 points. I don't want to put the mocker on on Bernard Foley, but the way he's kicking today, it's an easier 3 points, and I think you got to keep building the scoreboard, because then that puts you within 6 points of Scotland, and you just got to keep ticking it over and stay in touch, because we know the game breakers Australia have to be able to break this game open at any stage, and they're going to keep playing to the 80th minute. That's something we're sure of.
So Foley, who has been very, very accurate indeed today, and this probably the most straightforward of his kicks so far. Through it goes, and Foley chips away at the Scottish lead once again. 6 points the difference, and Scotland are making a change, and the man winning his 100th cap today is coming off. Ross Ford coming off, and Fraser Brown comes on for Ross Ford, as so many in this Scotland side can be today. Pleased with his work, I'm sure. Chasing down Chris Patterson at the top of the Scotland's most capped list.
A great ovation for Ross Ford there. Fantastic to see. He really, really deserves that, and he will go on to make many, many more.
You hope 8 more.
I might have to dig the boots out again, aren't I? No chance.
The restart gathered safely by Australia again, but for some depth now Foley has to clear. That's a very, very useful kick indeed. It's Scotland's line out, but it's just inside their own half. So what a crucial player he's become to Australia, Foley. And they got Quade Cooper waiting on the bench. And Cooper's covering a multitude of positions today with that 6-2 split.
And you can see where Foley defends as well. It's unusual to see the 10, the first receiver, defending in that 5 metre channel, but you can see him in there. They want to protect him because he's so valuable to how Australia play and how he pulls his strings. He's comfortable when he's up flat. You see Johnny Gray getting a bit of treatment as well, and there's 101. There's one for Alan Dell, who did really well in his first cap, and 100 for Ross Ford. And he's such a quiet, unassuming guy, but a fierce competitor, and a delighted, couldn't happen to a nicer bloke.
One thing that Ross Ford brings as well is he's sort of the modern breed of hooker who is as big and strong as a prop. They don't really hook, they're there to do a sort of front rower's work. And
he started as a back row player, all his age grades right up until, you know, his senior rugby. He was a 6, he was a blind side, and he made that transition to the front row.
So Brown is replacement, and it comes eventually to Hardy. And Laidlaw lays it back, Barkley into play scrum half. Oh no, somebody's taken it away from Gordon Reid, and then a penalty to Australia. Let's just listen in. So an error of judgment from Gordon Reid, which might be costly for Scotland. I think he surprised everyone, not least John Barkley there. Because he was bound in the ruck, he can't reach back and take the ball.
That's exactly right. You can't be in front of the last man of the breakdown and reach back and pick up the ball. That's a new edict that's come in the last couple of years from World Rugby.
So Australia suddenly in a promising attacking position again. The line-out just comes back to them. And now they'll try and get a bit of a maul going. Sideways and down. So Genya gives it wide, and Folau has been so busy coming into the line, carried in there by Dean Mumm. And dangerous times again for Scotland, right on the edge of the 22. There's Pocock. Hamish Watson trying to hold him up. Pocock's been de-scrum capped. So Genya fires the back line again. Foley gives it a bit deeper to Folau, and Folau just slipping through and tries to get that ball away. Hugh Jones was there, and the ball loose, and eventually I think Barkley's laying it back. Back it comes to Hogg, and Hogg steps around one man just to buy himself a bit more time, and then unleash that huge boot spiralling through the Edinburgh air. And that is Well, they've just strained something there, stretching things out, but that's very good clearance from Hogg.
That's an excellent clearance kick, but we'll go back maybe 5 minutes in the game. There's 2 turnovers for Folau. He's trying to force the game. We said before, James, you could understand why he's trying to keep the ball alive, but surely there you should be looking after that.
Yeah, I think the patience that Australia aren't showing in attack is hurting them a little bit. They need to be a lot more patient through especially in that A zone inside that 22.
Long it goes, and it's stolen, but then knocked forward by Hardy. Not this time for the flanker. Into the final quarter of the match we head. A 6-point lead for Scotland, but mostly Australia's ball, mostly their territory. Good take by Foley, and under a bit of pressure gets the ball away. And who will win the aerial battle? And Hogg waiting for it. Folau says he was obstructed as he was bearing down on it. And Scotland have the ball, but under pressure again. And I think Hardy's down injured for Scotland. So Scotland with 14 men at the moment. Wide it goes, a bit of space for Visser. But Tamani is there, and Visser tries to skirt his way inside. Hooper takes him down. Hooper sticks a toe in, but still Scotland's ball. Still Hardy down injured. Gordon Reid. To Russell, and Russell thinks he sees a bit of space there, but Foley covering well. You can see Hardy still getting treatment. And Australia spin it wide, and Kuridrani attacking with a man advantage. I think Hardy is going to be heading for the edge of the pitch soon. Referee stops it. Penalty to Australia.
That's John Bartlett is penalised. That's a really tight call. They said it's going straight to floor. He's off his feet, so we'll have a look to see if his hands are on the ground.
Just thinking as well as we look at the action areas in the second half, the cover now for Scotland, because just hidden there is John Hardy, who's going to be coming off on a stretcher soon, which is very sad news for him and slightly worrying for Scotland, because Ryan Wilson went off early in the game. So again, it would have to be a bit of a reshuffle with Grant Gilchrist perhaps coming on, and Johnny Gray go into the back row.
Yeah, probably out of the two, Johnny will probably slip back to number 6. The beauty of Hamish Watson and John Bartlett is that they're comfortable in all 3 positions. Here's the injury, number 20. It initially looks like a head knock. There's a pick and go there, and then his leg just gets caught underneath him. Whether his head knock ends up maybe stunning him a little bit, and then, well, that's horrible, isn't it? He's damaged his left knee, and it's really not nice to see, but he's under the best care of Dr. James Robson and the Red there, and the medical staff here at Scottish Rugby. But he's tough. He's tough as teak, but that is a really horrible injury.
That's a shame. Played well as well since coming on, and again a great back row option for Scotland. But going forward, and again with that kind of injury, it looks like that might be some time. Not nice to see. So we will have that change with Grant Gilchrist coming on, and I would imagine it would be Johnny Gray moving into the back row. But again, thoughts with John Hardy. All rugby players, because it can happen so innocuously, but an injury will keep you out for some time.
Unfortunately, it's a sad part of our sport. You know, the disappointing thing is an injury. He's played some great rugby today, but it is part of the game, and we saw one earlier with Coleman, who's been in great form. He went off with what looked like a nasty leg injury, so hopefully it's not as bad as it looks, and we can see him back on the field very soon.
So from the penalty after all that to Australia, the clearing kick from Rhys Hodge will give Australia that attacking position. And that 6-point lead of Scotland's is looking fragile because of the amount of play that Australia have had, and now Scotland are having to improvise their pack a little bit. Pressure there on Hooper as he took the ball, but once more it has to be strong Scottish defence. Carried in by Ala Latoa, the Brumbies prop, who's on. And there's Pocock, just scoops it up. Foley flips it back into Folau, always on Foley's shoulder. Just thumping away at the Scottish door again. Scotland trying to turn Pocock, and a penalty to Scotland again. The defence in many areas for Scotland has been so impressive today.
Yeah, it's Fraser Brown this time, and I get so similar. There's so many these players who are so strong over the ball. And Fraser Brown, again a former back rower, converted to hooker, he comes in and gets over the ball, gets his foot past the ball, it allows him to be strong enough and survive the clear out.
Fantastic work there. You know, it's a difficult spot to be, and I think the ball, as it shifted to Pocock, Will Skelton got a little bit in front of him and wasn't able there to get the clear out as quickly as possible, and that's all it takes in Test rugby. It's just a fraction of a second and they're there over the ball in good position.
It's often fool's gold, isn't it, where you think you've maybe got half a yard and then you're just falling into the trap of the defender knowing you're coming and getting in over the ball and getting there before your support.
So Scotland just taking their time coming forward to this line out. Still a long way to go in this match though. 17 minutes remain, 6 points the lead, and Brown looks for his man in Richie Gray, and there is Hamish Watson. Gives it on to Alex Dunbar. Good strength from the inside centre. Crashing on Barkley. Hooper eventually falls on him, and quicker pace from Scotland now, and Russell gives it out wide to Hogg. Hogg a little chip, and the chase is there for Visser if he can get it, but the ball beats everyone into touch. Folau was covering. So close for Scotland, and the crowd boo because Folau is having a little push at Visser, but well, we'll have a look at it. No,
there's nothing in that at all. Nothing in that at all, but it's more pressure from Scotland. Right from that line at moving the far side, Sean Maitland, the winger, was actually at the front of the line. It was a pre-planned move, and they're certainly playing some sharp attack.
Shorten line out under pressure from Scotland, and stolen. Laidlaw has it, and Laidlaw now. So Scotland with a chance. Gilchrist gives it out. Little pocket of forwards carry. Reid spreads it wide. Hamish Watson, gold shirts flying up on him, and Scotland going backwards. Watson trying to free himself, gives it to Laidlaw, to Gilchrist. Gilchrist almost straight through. Gilchrist punches a hole. Reid now, and well, the penalty to Australia, spotted by the touch judge. A bit of crossing. And perhaps that is how the gap appeared.
Unlucky for Scotland there. You know, there was a great passage of play after stealing the line out. Really pressure line out there for Australia, and Richie Gray got it well.
It was Gilchrist that spied the gap, didn't he? Just outside Richie Gray. He has to make a better effort to get out of the way of that. Simmons can't make the tackle because of the actions of Richie Gray. And it's eagle eye, well spotted by the assistant referee.
You know, sometimes they go unnoticed, but if you're 6'10", blonde hair. Australia's line out better this time, and the Maul just walking forward, and suddenly it's Australia's attack. 15 minutes remaining in this game. Folau gives it on to Hodge, to Spate, and Spate watched by Maitland, but ground is made by Australia. Little fumble backwards, says the referee. Kuridrani, and Kuridrani, everyone almost stopped for a moment thinking that was forward, but Watson eventually got to him. But you see where Australia are now through Alalatua. Foley and Pocock taken down by Finn Russell. Pocock regathers. Spate gives it on, flat passing to Skelton. And the giant Waratahs man on the pitch making his presence felt. Moore, and ground being made by the Wallabies up to the edge of the 22. Spate now coming forward. Australia launching decoy runners. Foley gives it on to the giant Skelton, met by Richie Gray. What a clash. And there is Alalatua, and still Australia inch their way forward. Foley, little pop back into Folau. Who else? Genya, Foley, and the pass just in the tackle. They can't quite get it away. Scotland's ball, just looking for that final sly pass, Australia, and a couple of times it's gone wrong. Russell clears, and Scotland breathe, and the clock ticks away, and Murrayfield is abuzz.
It's the same again, isn't it? Scotland's defence, so brave, so courageous, so well organised, popping back at the feet, but they're being tested. And this is where the force in the pass between Foley and Hodge, it's a good line, but it just, I'm not sure if there's a hand gets in. Does Finn Russell get his hand in there? I'm not sure, but if you're in doubt, 10 metres from the opposition line, you keep the ball, you look after possession.
Xander Fagerson is off and Murray Lowe comes on in the Scotland tight head. So all change in the front row now, and Will Genya hobbling off. Again, a good man to come on, Nick Phipps, but Genya's not going off yet. Ball a bit loose. Kudadrani finds it eventually. Scotland have to tackle and tackle again. There's a long 13 minutes remaining, and a penalty to Australia this time as well.
You could hear the referee say tackle only, wanting the player to release, and the Scottish player didn't let go of the ball, so he was left with no doubt to make that decision. And here's a big opportunity for Australia to see what they do. And it looks like they're going for the line out, so they're looking for the try.
Big decision. Nick Phipps waiting to come on at scrum half, but it's a fairly straightforward 3 points. But they sense weakness now, Australia, and that's a very, very good kick from Foley.
Wow. If you make that decision, you have to go for Bro with a kick, and he's done that bang on the 5 metre line. I'm surprised. I thought they would have gone for goal, but with that outcome from their kick, then the pressure's back on Scotland.
So will Scotland challenge this line out? No, they wait for the Australian man to take it in Skelton, and then Scotland try and set their defence and move them towards touch. Ball still there though for Australia. Great work by Wallabies, advantage to Australia as well, and then the hand comes in, so there'll be penalty to the Wallabies, and the referee will beginning to lose a little bit of patience, as a few are out there. Might just be a chat from the referee here to Greg Laidlaw. We can hear Simon McDowell coming in there, the TMO, saying looking to check foul play. So 20 gold is Will Skelton, so they're looking at Will Skelton coming into the ruck. The big screens inside Murrayfield, and Will Skelton is enormous, and so we'll have a look to see if he's entered illegally.
I think we'll be looking at a charging penalty. And what said of looking at that, there was a directive sent out this week that players, you can hear the referee, players making contact with heads, and that includes high tackles, charging, leading elbows, striking or kicking, and it looked as if he charged with his shoulder after the whistle to Johnny Gray, but we'll see the pictures to prove that.
Well, let's have a look. Will Skelton again, not difficult to miss. So watch number 20, Will Skelton. He's actually on the ground just now. Up he rises. Oh, right, okay. On Johnny Gray by Will Skelton, 140 kilos of him. So let's hear what Simon McDowell and John Lacey think, but just wondering what you chaps think.
Yeah, look, it's one of those ones that you can't sort of do it, something like that out in the open. It was probably unnecessary, and you hate to see an opportunity like that ruined for a thing like that. I don't think anyone was hurt from it, but in the end, it doesn't look good, and the referees looks like he's going to make a decision here, and I think it's going to go against Australia.
Yeah, it's charging, isn't it? It's a clear yellow card, at least.
Well, it's foolish. Again, we stress these things. I was going to say they look worse in slow motion, but even in real time that looked bad from Skelton, just because of the way he led with his shoulder. So that's 140 kilos leaving the field for 10 minutes. That's just about his game done, and foolish as much as anything else, James.
Yeah, it's disappointing to have such a great attacking opportunity ruined by something like that. You know, he's obviously, this is his first time in the team for a little while, so he's keen to make an impact. He's keen to make a difference, and the excitement levels are up, and he just probably went a little bit too far there. And now the Wallabies have got to defend with 14 men for 10 minutes.
It's such a crucial area of the field to clear out, and they're looking to make the game as safe as possible. So when you clear out, you have to use your arms. You can't lead with the shoulder, and that was a clear lead into Johnny Gray. And for me, it's the right decision.
Well, what an opportunity Scotland have now. A 6-point lead and a man advantage. Alex Dunbar is off in the midfield, and Peter Horn has come on. Now Will Skelton will be furious with himself. Gilchrist takes it down, flings it back to Laidlaw, and there is Hamish Watson. Gilchrist. Laidlaw deep to Hogg again, just steps on, decides to have a little run himself. Under pressure now though, blue shirts trying to arrive. There's Johnny Gray. Russell gets it away under very serious pressure. Folau waiting, takes it casually and gives it on to Dane Halett-Petty. Little step and into Watson and Jones. And there the new scrum half, Nick Phipps, gives it wide. Carried in by Alalatoa. And the pass taken well by Hodge. So they're a man down, but perhaps they feel a sense of grievance, and they can do this against the tide. Australia, carried in by Kuridrani. The pass just taken by Dean Mumm. Moore feels the hit of Barclay but gets it away well, and Foley's there, finds support in Hodge. Hodge now, and the ball spilled. Chance for Scotland to counter perhaps now. Stuart Hogg. And Hogg fancies a run himself, gives it out to Visser. Visser, he's got forwards to try and beat, and Visser trying to get away, and a foot just in touch as he gets the kick. Gets the kick away, so Maitland's chase to no avail. Back they'll come. I think Hogg looked up and saw the forwards out wide, and he and Visser tried to get away, but it was good covering by Australia.
Great coverage from Dean Mumm. He's a very quick player, he's deceivingly quick, and Tim Visser's seen a forward coming across and he's thought he'd have him for all money, but Dean Mumm's done a great effort there, and he's put a foot on touch and forced a turnover in crucial position, which could have been very dangerous for the Wallabies.
It's good scanning by Stuart Hogg, wasn't it? Everyone in front of us here in the West Stand was pointing furiously to kick downfield, but he knew there was space on the edge, keeping calm under all this pressure. And well, so you said already, said James, Dean Mumm, really good tackle, and Tim Visser.
Australia's line out taken down well by Mumm, and they try and just get a maul going with Moore steering. Not going anywhere just now, and then slip to Phipps, scoops it high. Visser coming forward, beautiful take by Dane Halett-Petty. So Australia again, Foley and Hodge tries to pick it up. Jones complains that he was obstructed, but Australia's ball. 8 minutes to go, and John Barclay this time penalised. And a talking to. So last warning for John Barclay.
He's been effective, so effective, John Barclay, in around the breakdown, and just as he took the ball, John Lacey said, he's off your feet, 6, leave it, but it was almost simultaneously with his action, so he couldn't then pull out of his action as he's getting his warning. The warning that this is his last time. If he does it again, he'll be going with a yellow card. But that's how back row players play, right in the edge.
So Tom Robertson is on for Scott Seo in the front row for Australia. And Australia's ball again. Taken down by Hooper once more through Pocock, and there is Robertson. Quick pass, Phipps, and Kuridrani took it well behind him. An advantage to Australia as well. Penalty coming, Phipps. So Australia a man down, but still they have the ball. Still they have all the momentum. Halett-Petty looking for this one, takes it out wide. Oh, and takes the challenge as well. And Hogg, well, looked to take the man in the air, but Pocock carries it in. Still advantage to Australia. Carried in by Simmons. Phipps gives it out to Moore. And there was back for the advantage. Well, it seems a little bit closer to the posts than where the initial offence was, but he's checking with his touch judge.
I think he was saying offside from the line out, and the back line came up a little bit too early. You could see Scotland in the warm-up were practicing that exact play from Australia, and you could see they've been drilled, and I think they just got a little bit over keen in this part of the game.
What a fascinating match. Australia a man down, still with hopes of a Northern Hemisphere Grand Slam matches against Ireland, England to come. They're 6 points adrift. They are attacking with 14 men in Pocock. Scotland don't engage initially and then punch Australia back. So Moore slips it to Phipps. Phipps to Foley. Foley to Kudadrani. And Kudadrani is through. And Kudadrani for the line. The tackle, the stretch, the try for Tavita. Kudadrani.
What a carry from Tavita Kudadrani. That's what he can do so well. He gets in there, breaks the first man, and hopefully, or maybe, he's got the ball down.
Well, that is a try, and it's under the post. It will be a 7-point try. The conversion to come, but surely Australia will lead with 5 minutes to go. And what a try from Tavita Kudadrani.
It's all power, isn't it? Scotland initially defended the line out very, very well, and then the instinct of Australia to play the ball from the retreating maul and then get to their big runner. Kudadrani's footwork gets him outside Peter Horn, and Stuart Hogg puts a great tackle in, but that reach, that composure, and that finish for Tavita Kudadrani is out of the top drawer. Look at that, he gets outside Peter Horn, inside Hugh Jones, and then under that good tackle he stretches using his whole body to reach a line.
And the picture there, Hogg with a tackle and Peter Horn with the exasperation and the beating of the ground in frustration. But what an effort. That's try scoring at the highest order from Kudadrani. Brilliant. So 4.5 minutes to go, and the conversion attempt from Foley. And this is taking you to the heart of the action. A booze. And there shouldn't be around Murrayfield. That was a brilliant try. Through it goes from Foley. 4 minutes to go, and Australia leads at Murrayfield. Despite the absence of Will Skelton, their Grand Slam hopes are still alive. Now, can Scotland respond? They've done so much good in this game, but this was a wonderful try.
It was just the realisation as we've gone quick, Scotland have gone quick.
Spate takes the restart. So Scotland have to put the pressure on now. And the very difficult decision will shortly go to Chris Patterson to choose man of the match, who he's thinking about. Often has to go to someone on the winning side, and that matter has yet to be settled. Hogg now. And that man disadvantage really hasn't hurt Australia too much. But 3 minutes remaining. Russell. Reid gives it on to Watson, not too much out there, and Watson under pressure now. Barkley slips it to Gilchrist, and Kudadrani with a physical tackle. Cries of support around Murrayfield as Horn tries to slip through. Barkley to Johnny Gray, to Russell, to Gilchrist, but all behind the gain line. 6 phases, and now looking for space out wide. Jones to Hogg, who has to jig and reset himself. Australia's defence being tested, but equal to it at the moment. Johnny Gray. Scotland, a penalty would do them. 2 minutes to go, and wide it goes to Watson. And great defence, and the ball lost forward, and Australia's ball. Wonderful defence by the Wallabies. So Kudadrani just looks to dig for it, but then leaves it to Phipps. And so we'll have a scrum, and it's Australia's ball. And the clock now, the friend of the Wallabies.
Yeah, look, I think that's shown some great patience there against Scotland, and just in the end, the little handling error has made that come undone. And Will Skelton comes back on for the last minute and a half. He'll be looking to make a difference now.
And in that time, in his sin binning, Australia have scored a converted try. So again, sometimes it can. I mean, the momentum was with Australia anyway, but it really did seem to galvanise Australia. And Vern Cotter, how dearly he would love the New Zealander, a win over Australia. But everything now slowing down for the Wallabies. They're in no rush. And for so much of this game, Scotland have led. So well have they played. But with a minute to go, everything is in favour of Australia. And the dream scenario for the Wallabies here would be a penalty from a dominant scrum. Scotland getting a bit of a shove, and then it crumples, and Australia have it, and they have the... Well, no, John Lacey looked as if he was about to give the penalty, then gave scrum again. But again, the clock continues to tick.
That's a good result for Australia to have a reset. As you said, takes time off the clock, and then it'll be... this will probably be the last play.
Quickly, man of the match.
Well, such a tough call, but Hugh Jones has been outstanding. He scored 2 tries. He saved a try as well. Some of the guys in the Australian back row have been absolutely outstanding. It looks like they're going to go ahead and win the game. Pocock, Hooper, but for me, the man of the match is Hugh Jones.
And the clock is red, so one final scrum for Australia will do it. Scotland will hope for the miracle of a penalty somehow, that they could knock over anything. Free kick to Scotland. One final desperate attempt for Scotland now to win this game. Penalty would do them. Carried in by Barkley, so Australia's defence now is marshalled. How will Scotland play this? A loose pass from Laidlaw, but carried in well by Murray Lowe. Once more the rallying cries around Murrayfield, and Johnny Gray once more the golden tackles come firing in, and Scotland from deeper now. They're actually heading backwards. Hamish Watson, and soon even a penalty will be a stretch. Russell gives it wide. Hugh Jones carries. Johnny Gray, some tired bodies and indecision now for Scotland. And Australia's defence continues to send them back. Gilchrist looking for options. Barkley sets it back. Still thin slivers of hope for Scotland, but look where they are now inside their own half. Comes back slowly, and Australia's defensive line is solid. Deeper still it goes now for Scotland, for Russell. Russell tries to make his way through and does, and the offload doesn't quite go to hand. Still with Scotland. One pass that was needed. There has to be ambition, but care as well, as Gordon Reid carries it on. On to Hogg now. Little step, Hogg, and Scotland make ground again. Fraser Brown. Hands secure on the ball, laid back now. Australia competing for it, but Laidlaw with quicker ball to play with. Watson gives it wide to Russell, on to Barkley. Barkley, a little slip, and picked up by Visser. And Visser trying to keep it alive. Still there just for Scotland. Near enough 3 minutes of dead time, and Richie Gray into the fray again. Russell. "15 phases of torture for the Murrayfield crowd and Johnny Gray." A pause, a momentary pause from Laidlaw. Gives it to Gordon Reid. Reid. And Scotland beginning to make just a little bit of ground. Far too far out for a drop goal. Carried in by Murray Lowe. Once more, Hugh Jones. Laid back and then lost and then out and then gone. And hope for Scotland over. The victory for Australia. It ends after 19 phases of trying, of battering away at the Australian defence. It ends in defeat, it ends in smiles and celebrations for Australia, for the Wallabies, and beaten men on the ground for Scotland. But what a match, what a match.
What a test match. Great team Murrayfield, incredible. The players are out on their feet, you see them there, the Scottish guys. 3 minutes of added time after the whistle. Credit to the Australian defence, Shane, they really stood up to it there as Scotland threw absolutely everything at them. 3 tries for Scotland, 2 for Australia, and what a game.
Yeah, fantastic game from both sides. Both sides threw everything at it. Wasn't perfect at times, but the Australians stuck it at the end, and I think they'll be very happy with that last defensive effort to come away with the win. But I think, you know, hats off to Scotland. They really took it to the Australians, and when a lot of people probably were writing them off before the game, I think they showed that they're a quality side and they're going to be a big test coming forward.
Single points defeats for Scotland at Twickenham and here at Murrayfield, but what a game. 23-22 to Australia.